Okay, my beautiful unicorn warriors. This is an amazing slideshow I put together for you all so that you can understand everything about your hormones, what they are, what they do, the art of the Tao, which you will see what I mean in a little bit. Tao in Chinese medicine means life. So life force is something that we definitely want abundant in your body. And then we're also to talk about in this slideshow the number one reason why hormones are off and what can happen if they are. We're also going to look at testing. We're going to look at how you can test properly beyond just the standard blood test you get at doctors today, and how to explore your hormonal imbalances yourself and what to do about it. So let's dive right in. Why am I so tired? The real causes of adrenal fatigue and hormonal meltdown and solutions to fix it. So there are 30 slides in this slideshow. I'm hoping to get through this in about 20 minutes. So I'm actually going to create a little timer here so that I can see my time and hope that we can get through this in about 20 minutes. So here we go. The first thing to understand is many of you who have come to me have already been working with doctors for maybe decades. And this is something that has definitely changed. We used to treat health issues with real medicine from Mother Nature plants. And now we're using pharmaceuticals that are made in a lab, as well as dangerous surgeries that can create further complications, saying that there's genetics, there's nothing you can do about it, etc. I like to err on the side of Thomas Edison, who stated the doctor of the future will give no medicine, but will interest his patients in the care of the human frame, in diet, and in the cause and prevention of disease. So we are going to talk today about the real causes of your hormonal imbalances and talk about prevention of these imbalances, as well as the diseases that are associated with them. So thank you, Thomas Edison. He invented not just the light bulb, but he definitely put a light bulb over our hormonal issues so that we can see the light and the real problems. Again, here we go. The surgeons can cut out everything except cause. What you're going to see a lot in this slideshow is that some of the things that are done today to treat women hormonal imbalances is to literally cut out our parts from our beautiful ovaries, to cut off our breasts because of hormonal issues or genetics, what we're being taught. And these are just simply flat out bad science. And there's a lot of lies in the industry that you can't do anything about it. We should just cut out your gallbladder, it's infected. This is just a lot of really bad science, and we're really working to recover these issues so that you guys can recover your health issues, your organs, etc., so that you don't have the complications of having things removed. This is another one, and this is actually something that's kickstarted my journey, is having a lot of acne. And I had a really bad cystic acne as a result of hormonal imbalance. And you guys are going to see a lot of possibly yourself in this slideshow. And you might even say that, oh gosh, I have acne or skin issues. Dermatologists today will say that there is no cause of acne other than genetics, and the only way to treat it is with topical cream and antibiotic pills. And what's not listed here is birth control pills. So this is totally true or false? What do you guys think? Right. It is absolutely false. So the way that you treat acne, as well as even your hormonal imbalances, is at the root, which is starting from your gut, getting rid of toxins in your body, adding life back into it, and really working to get the toxic estrogen out of your body, balance that with progesterone, as well as all of the other hormones that we're going to talk about today. Good job. Now, here's the common average female that I see come into my practice. It's a funny comic that I've been laughing at and using for a long time now. Good news, your lab results look great. Everything is normal. You are the picture of health. Like, how common is this, ladies, right? This is probably the majority of you. You're like, yeah, they're saying all the labs are normal. I don't know what's wrong with me. They don't know what's wrong with you, but you feel and look like crap, and your skin's erupting, and your hair's falling out, and you feel exhausted. You have bags under your eyes. You can't sleep. Maybe you can't even get pregnant. And what you guys have probably already seen in the Warrior Cleanse and the Hormone Code and any other challenges that you've done with us or working with me is that natural solutions are coming back. They're in vogue. They're hot. They're making a huge comeback. And you've probably seen tons of testimonials from other clients and warriors who've been saying that I cannot believe how I feel. I didn't think this was possible. many of whom actually work in the medical industry and are not taught these things. They're not taught that diet has anything to do with it, that you can't control your health with it, and it is absolutely 100% false. Lots of miracles are happening in this group. Women are getting pregnant who were told that they never could get pregnant. Women are getting pregnant who never were even trying, but hey, there's a miracle baby. There's all sorts of amazing things that have been happening. Women who have had PCOS and were taught that they needed to spend $15,000+ on IVF therapy, and were pregnant within a month after doing the warrior cleanse and or balancing their hormones. So this is absolutely possible. This is our current reality, what you're seeing in this picture. And I'm here to show you guys and tell you guys that it does not have to be this way. The labs that they're using today in the medical space are not solid labs. They're looking for a freeway of blood platelets and markers there. It is a tiny little snapshot of what your current health situation looks like, and it is definitely something that I'm working to definitely remodel with functional medicine, as well as some other practitioners who are practicing in this space who I have either practiced with or learned from, mentored with, or been trained by. So let's keep going, because we definitely want you to have a massive remodel from this and a huge transformation. Okay, another big lie that you can see in this continuum here is that years ago in 1961, Ansel Keys was on the cover of Time magazine saying that saturated fats in the diet clogged arteries, and those were the things that were causing heart disease, and to therefore stop eating fats, eat more carbs, and also that cholesterol was bad for us. And that what we've seen is since then, there's been this huge surge of carbohydrates and sugars and eat, all these things that give you more energy. And is actually what's proving to be the main issue for estrogen dominance, hormonal issues, feeds cancer, feeds the bad bugs, and creates all sorts of brain fog, as well as many, many other issues. So the real issue is not fat. This guy was paid a lot of money by the grain industry, the sugar industry, to put this false science out there. And then, of course, making a comeback in 2014. The stuff that the grandma made for us is really, truly making a comeback. You've heard us talk a lot about fats being important in your diet. So here it is, time, eat better. Scientists labeled fat the enemy. Why they were wrong. And so, again, we're going back to fats being really, really healthy for us and why that's important for hormonal balance. We will get into in this slideshow. So here's what we're going to talk about. We're going to go into the Tao, T-A-O, thyroid, adrenals, and ovaries, and why we want these beautiful ladies to be balanced so that you guys can have the life that you desire and go out and conquer the world and chase your dreams just as much as you want to chase your children. And you want to have as much energy as they do. So we're going to cover what is the endocrine system, what do these glands do, and then what do hormones do. First of all, it's really important to understand, I was just going to get into, what is it that the hormones do? So what are hormones? They're chemical messengers that travel through your bloodstream and they enter tissues, where they turn on switches, like light switches, to the genetic machinery that regulates everything from reproduction to emotions to your sense of well-being. The body's system of hormone production is the endocrine system. Like I said, I call it the Tao. Let me go back to that slide here. Hormones can actually be thought of as the chemical force that animates you physically and mentally and emotionally. And to have a proper balance of these hormones is extraordinarily necessary for the optimal function of all of your physiological processes. And you'll see that in this slideshow as well. How does hormonal balance affect other things in the body? There are 11 systems in the body, just like a field of soccer players, right? 11 against 11. And if you have any one of those players out, gets a red card, gets injured, those 10 players have to work harder to pick up the slack for that one player who's not on the field or maybe who's injured. So I like to think of the body the same way. As I was a pro soccer player at one point. So I like to think of the body exactly like this. So what's the role of hormones and how do they affect the rest of the body? And so some hormones are actually comprised of large proteins, which is why a high quality protein diet is important. And I'll talk about that in the slideshow today. And others the other particles of it is fatty substances like you just saw, like cholesterol derived from, and also where you're going to get cholesterol is in your diet, of course. And an extremely important class derived from cholesterol is a family of hormones termed steroids. And we're going to cover that today. Let me just move this down here, which is next. So we'll talk about cholesterol a little bit later. I'll bring that back. Now, number one, what are the things that are stressing us out? So first of all, your adrenals make sex, stress, and sleep hormones. And they're these cute little things that are located. I'm going to get my little pen out here. And I'm going to show you guys what this looks like. So right here you can see where I'm circling. These are the adrenals. They sit on top of the kidneys. They're not too big. They look like little walnut guys. And they're like I said, the goal and the role of your adrenals is to help you adapt to stress so that you don't die, that you don't fall apart, so that you can run from stress. The problem today is that we have chronic stress, and primarily our cortisol, which is one of the hormones that the adrenals make, the purpose of it was to increase it when we had impending danger, like we were being chased by a predator of some kind. And so primarily we adapted by creating this cortisol surge to get us out of danger. The problem is today is that we're living in such a fast-paced life that we have a constant chronic need to produce cortisol because we perceive stress. So that's why the number one thing when someone's coming to me and they say, I want help with nutrition, the number one thing we're going to go to is making sure that the brain is balanced and that you're not spinning yourself in circles, needing a ton of cortisol because of your brain and the thoughts that you create. And your body is just perceiving stress, stress, stress. Your body does not perceive stress, good or bad. It just perceives stress. Make more cortisol to adapt to that stress, to be able to run from something. Or run to something if it's good stress, right? Because, cortisol, heart thumping when you fall in love, that's good cortisol. That's eustress, not distress. So the adrenals make sex, stress, and sleep hormones. And we're going to talk about what that looks like a little bit later, what happens when your body's actually enduring and perceiving chronic stress. But these are things that affect our adrenals. Fear, which is why I said we definitely have to talk about the brain. Emotional stress, we definitely have to talk about the brain and the heart. Death of a loved one. You guys are starting to see this here. Look at all these. Unwanted employment, marital stress, financial pressures. These are all very mental things. Negative and attitudes and beliefs, psychological stress. Let's see. And this is why lack of relaxation in the Sexy Belly Booty Challenge, we've definitely prioritized relaxation, getting out in nature, just chilling out, hanging out, positive thinking, etc. Infections and acute and chronic, caffeine, which is why we cut out coffee in the Warrior Cleanse for 30 days. If you have not yet done the Warrior Cleanse, I highly recommend it. Nutrient poor food, which is pretty much the standard American diet now. We're eating like less than 10% of our diet is vegetables, or actually, no, I'm sorry, it's less than 10% of American are even getting the daily recommended doses of fruits and vegetables. In fact, we're eating like maybe 10 grams, 5 to 10 grams of fiber, and I recommend like 35. So all of these things here can create stress for the adrenals. And how that impacts your body is listed here. So we're going to talk specifically about what cortisol and DHEA is in a little bit, but all you guys need to know right here is that the adrenals and these stressors, when the adrenals are taken down, it can affect your entire body. So bone turnover, osteoporosis, muscle integrity. A lot of people say, it's so hard for me to build muscle. Well, that's because you're probably super stressed out and your body's releasing more cortisol than it is testosterone to build muscle. Cell energetics, glucose homeostasis. We're talking about like, why are you diabetic? Why is, one half of America on their way to diabetes? Why is that potentially going to bankrupt our entire nation? Because of stress. It affects inflammation. And what we say is that 95% of disease is caused by inflammation. So it's important to get that inflammation in check. And cortisol is one of those things that does put the fire out. Cortisol is an anti-inflammatory, like glucocorticoids, cortisone. They're all the same family of chemicals. One is made by you, one is made by man. Cortisone made by man, cortisol made by you. When your body can't make enough of it, cancer will come above, obesity happens, your body can't put the fire out inside the body anymore of that inflammation. Detox capacity, so you need enough cortisol to make sure that your body can properly detox all of the chemicals that we're exposed to. We're exposed to 80,000 plus of these guys. We talk a lot about heavy metals in the Warrior Cleanse, obviously, and we'll talk a little bit more about the heavy metal testing that I do in the slideshow. And then, the body is not able to properly dispose of heavy metals from your body if your cortisol is low and your body doesn't have enough energy to get that stuff out. If your body is prioritizing, stress, run from, the predator that's chasing you, it's sure as hell not going to have enough energy to get these heavy metals out of your body, and they'll get stored and they'll create problems down the road like hormone imbalance and, of course, disease. If you're having troubles losing weight, metabolism and fat and protein metabolism, these are things definitely right here. You're going to see weight and fat distribution, mucosal surface integrity, protein turnover, which definitely affects your skin, right? Because your skin is made of a bunch of proteins. So as you can see here, endocrine function, ovarian hormone levels, thyroid function, pancreas, which is what releases enzymes. It releases insulin to break down sugar and funnel glucose into your cells so you could use it for energy. So why am I so tired? Oh, because cortisol is out of range. It's probably low or maybe too high. We're going to talk about that. So quality of sleep and mood, everything. Your adrenals affect everything. If your adrenals are not in shape, nothing else in your life will be. So I hope this makes sense so far. I'm definitely going to go over 20 minutes, ladies, because I'm looking at my clock here and I'm at 5 minutes and 28 seconds. So probably going to be a little bit longer than that, maybe more like 30 minutes. Steroid hormone principal pathways. This is so important to understand. I don't need you guys to understand all this stuff in black. I just want you to see a few things. Let me get my pen out again here. So what you're going to see is this is what happens with your body making a hormone. This is the art of your body making hormones, and what your body is told to do by the brain, depending on how it's perceiving what's going on. So if your body's prioritizing a lot of stress, your sex and sleep hormones are not going to get made in the same, because it doesn't have the same priority as stress hormones. So let's first look here at what actually is the anatomy of a hormone. So you probably have heard for women, B vitamins are very, very important, right? You've heard that. So hopefully you're taking a good B complex, because B vitamins plus dietary fats like the bone broth and the avocado and the salmon and the nuts and the seed cycling that we're talking about, these are super, of course, like the butter, grass-fed butter, ghee, and, eggs. All these are really healthy fats, coconut oil, etc. And these plus B vitamins will break down into cholesterol and that make pregnenolone, right? Pregnenolone is the master hormone that makes all these other ones. So all you need to know right here is that cholesterol is good. Fats and B vitamins are extraordinarily important. Without them, we cannot make a hormone and we will be hormone deficient, which is what I see in like 100% of my clients. I've never seen any of my clients have too many hormones or an excess of cortisol. I've seen them just flatline depleted, which means that you don't have good firefighters working for you to put out the inflammation in your body. Therefore, you get sick. Therefore, it's hard to achieve your dream body. So moving on here, I want you to see this pathway. So your body, like I just mentioned in a couple slides ago, cortisol, that gets top priority. Your body perceives stress. If you don't run from the predator that's chasing you, you're going to get eaten by it. So your body will will prioritize cortisol to be able to give your body the motor skills to run from something, because cortisol asks your body to release sugar, which gives you the energy to escape something or to handle something or to deal with something, right? So cortisol is actually not a bad thing. It's just bad when it's in excess or it's in deficiency. So it's important to be like the Goldilocks system with this. You want everything to be just right. I never see clients who are just right. Like I said, they're totally flatlining and they're all over the board. But of course, their doctor looks at blood tests and says, "Oh, I don't know, everything looks fine." And I know this. I know you know this when I'm talking about this, sweetheart. This is probably you. It's like all the clients I work with. So here we are. Body perceives stress. It needs cortisol. And we're living in such a state now of stressors that we're in chronic stress. So your body's always saying, make more cortisol, run from the whatever it is that's chasing you. And it's whatever that is, the thing that can be chasing you now instead of being a predator is like your printer breaks or your arm breaks or your relationship breaks or you lose your job or like all the stressors that I showed you earlier that is the things that create adrenal fatigue, adrenal issues, right? So any stress, we have tons of stress today, timeline stress, giving too many fucks stress, things that not getting enough sleep, not getting enough love in our life, not having good gut bacteria. So all these things create so many stressors in our body where our body's like, make more cortisol at the expense of the master sex hormone, DHEA. DHEA, as you guys can see here, lays 2 eggs. This is a fun way I like to explain it. it makes testosterone, and it makes the estrogens. Now, I'm going to talk a little bit later about which each one of these are and what they do and why they're important for everyone. But for now, I just want you guys to see that DHEA makes these. So you guys did a survey to see what your guys' hormonal root issues would be. And a lot of you guys were really low on androgens. And so we'll talk about that, what this means a little bit later. But if you're low on androgens, you're going to be low on your sex hormones and you have no sex drive. It's hard to burn muscle or to build muscle because you don't have enough testosterone. And you'll see exactly what low testosterone means for women later when I get to the testosterone part. The other thing that's really important is progesterone. So progesterone, as you can see here, your body wants to make progesterone, and then it would stop here if that's what your body needed. But your body's under chronic stress, and when it's under chronic stress, the body's like, sorry, body, we're going to need to borrow this progesterone to use that. Instead, we're going to make cortisol. So your body is low progesterone, and you end up with high estrogen, not from your own body, but like we talked about, these xenoestrogens. This is what's creating, and these xenoestrogens, like I said before, are like, they could be 30,000 times more potent than our own estrogens. And so it binds to receptor sites. You're estrogen dominant, progesterone deficient, and you wind up with estrogen dominance, and you have with all of the diseases and the symptoms of it. And this is not a fun place to be. This is not just women. This is men too. This is children. These xenoestrogens don't discriminate. They're everywhere. Plastics are super strong in the body. They're a cancer food. You guys know that we talked about that. All of the xenoestrogens, like the plastics, the parabens, the phthalates, the processed foods, the pesticides, the hormones that they're feeding the cows, birth control, all these things are creating this estrogen dominance, not from our own bodies, you can see here, but progesterone deficiency because the body makes cortisol out of it. And then we'll talk about that in a couple more slides here too. Aldosterone is also very important. Aldosterone regulates blood pressure, also regulates our sodium and water retention rate. So sometimes we're like, oh my God, I feel so puffy and bloated. Well, this is exactly why, because your body is not making enough aldosterone. Your body will hold on to water. So you think it's called false fat, really. You know, you look puffy, but maybe it's not fat. It's just extra water retention because your body is demanding cortisol and not enough aldosterone. So see how that says corticosteroid. The corticosteroid, the whole point of that is to reduce inflammation also. So as you guys can see here, the main thing that happens is if you get enough vitamin B and dietary fats, you get at least the building blocks of sex, stress, and sleep hormones, which is pregnenolone. And then what the brain tells your adrenals to do is dictated based on your environment, your mental environment, etc. So if your body says we need more stress hormones, then your body's not making enough aldosterone. Your body's not making enough androgens, DHEA, sex hormones. And then also what is not included on here is melatonin, a sleep hormone. So that's not illustrated here. But melatonin is also made in the adrenals as well as the pineal gland. But if your body's prioritizing stress, your body's not making any melatonin or very low amounts, which is what I see commonly on saliva testing that I do. And if you're low melatonin, your body's not going to be cued to fall asleep, and you're going to be wired and tired the next day. And not enough sleep is even going to help you because you may not even be getting enough rest. So you could still maybe fall asleep, but maybe your quality of sleep isn't good because melatonin is low. Melatonin is also a very powerful anti-inflammatory. Let's get into this. Do I have hormonal issues? I think that's pretty much a rhetorical question for most females today. And then how do I properly test your adrenal health? So let's look at that. Now, you guys have done this already, the hormone complaints checklist. I just want to show you mine so you just get an idea of an example. But here is, first of all, up here in the top, the higher these numbers, my highest was 27.8. I put, my first issue, my second issue, my top things I should be working on. So the root of my issues is listed here, based on what your complaints were. And you can actually have these listed based on a little thing on the mild, strong, moderate, the scores, the 3, 2, 1, etc. On the bottom of that Excel spreadsheet, you can click to say prioritize and column. So you can see the highest to lowest like this. So these are the only ones that I had up here for me. I put this number up here myself. I just added like an extra row so you could see that. But I scored a 10 out of 36 for low cortisol. So my body's not making enough cortisol, which probably means that I'm a little bit tired, might be a little inflamed, etc. Can't handle stress very well, maybe a little more irritable. But that's my top issue. My second issue, running at 9 out of 39, of the total possible score. I had 23%. So that's number 2. That's low androgens, DHEA, low testosterone. And we'll talk about what that would mean, look like later. And then 3, high androgens. So that sounds like kind of an oxymoron, but my issues probably just issues with my androgens. And you could have high and low depending on the day, depending on the stressors, etc. So look at yours, and I would just say focus on the top 1 for now, and I can help you with that if you'd like me to work with you one-on-one. And you'll see other testing, because this is just a general kind of giving you an idea, but we don't know until we look under the hood, and that's what I do functional lab testing for. Okay, so this is exactly what functional lab testing looks like. So this is completely different than a blood test. Your doctor will never be able, well, I wouldn't say never. There's some doctors that actually run this and actually understand how to read them, but they're very few and far between, because the first thing doctors are going to go to, they're trained on blood tests. They're trained on looking at testing that can immediately be resolved if you're low or high in ranges with some sort of pharmaceutical or procedure. So they're not going to look at this and say, hey, eat more kale, drink more water. They're going to say, exercise more and eat less. Probably something like that. You may have heard that before. So anyway, this is something that is pretty much not covered by insurance these days, and or doctors don't really know what it is, or to even order it, or how to order it, or even they probably can't even order it. So these are things that that typically are done through a functional medicine practitioner like myself, naturopaths, etc. I think you probably already know this. I'm studying to be a naturopath doctor myself at this time, just not there yet. This is what I see typically on a client's saliva test. There are 4 samples that are taken between these times. Cortisol is the stress hormone. Once again, very, very common I see. We'd like to see this, you're waking cortisol. This gives you the energy to get up and get out of bed. It's what gives you that fuel to feel alive in the morning. Our target here is to be like an 18. That's optimal. That's not listed to the right of the reference range. All you're seeing is 13 to 24. That's a wide, wide range. So I like to live in optimal land. Optimal is 18. You can see this client's here, her test results is 3.4. So let's just say, that's about 80% less than optimal. So this is something I see very, very commonly. This is a really, really prolonged stage of adrenal exhaustion for this woman. I had to get her some help. She had actually had cancer prior to this. But this is also something I see very commonly in clients. Cortisol noon is low, and then you see her afternoon is really low, 25%, even less in the lower reference range. And then nighttime, it goes back up, which typically means someone's got a lot of inflammation. That's probably why she's like, I'm exhausted during the day, and then nighttime I can't fall asleep, because now her cortisol is in range, which is, it's low, 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 and then hot, and then in range, which is a sign that she's got a lot of issues. I mean, even this is in range, but her trend is showing low, low, low. So if it was low, 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 the 4th one, then that would be showing just like a flatline adrenal, but something is going on that's spiking it back up again at nighttime, which is out of the trend of these other numbers. So her total cortisol is 9. We'd like to see somewhere more like 30, 32. So she's extraordinarily exhausted. That's why this woman came to me, and like kind of feeling dizzy throughout the day, almost like she can barely stand up. Other issues as well. Her DHEA average is only 1.5. We'd like to see that somewhere more like a 6 or a 7. So that's not good. This was actually my estrogen test when I did my saliva test the very, very first time. You can see here that the goal, luteal, means that you're on like days 17, 18, 19, 20 in your cycle. That's all you need to know about what this means. The goal would be somewhere between 1 to 5, and I was 11.7. So it's definitely estrogen dominant. That was my own estrogen, not xenoestrogens. You cannot test for xenoestrogens on these tests. This is my own estrogen. So something in my body was like, make more estrogen, make more estrogen, make more estrogen. Oddly enough, at the time, I had just taken out my IUD, my copper IUD. So copper and estrogen and candida all tend to hang out. So high copper normally equals estrogen dominance, high estrogen, and then also normally equals high candida, high yeast related infections, and extreme exhaustion. Yay, this was not fun. This is not a fun point in my life, and I definitely changed it, of course, and that's also what we're doing in the hormone code, as well as the dietary descriptions and recommendations that are in the Warrior Cleanse for life, right? Let's go to the next one. Oh, I did want to say this too. More accurate, this saliva test can be done at home. It can be mailed to your home and you mail it back. FedEx picks it up. Super easy. Takes a day to do. It's much more accurate than blood. Not covered by insurance, and doctors aren't trained to read and understand or even know what to do with the results. You know, what are they going to do? What drug are they going to recommend to help you with this? Okay, this is the next part of this. I wanted to show you what progesterone, this is what it looks like if you do a salivary test. Progesterone levels here are 53. This woman is very, very low, premenopausal. She's on a real low end of the reference range for progesterone, which normally means that low progesterone would mean high estrogen, because progesterone opposes estrogen. So typically when I see women low progesterone on a saliva test, I could typically infer that they've got high estrogen, or they've got higher estrogen relative to progesterone, which means estrogen dominance. It doesn't mean that estrogen is in range. It just means that there's much more estrogen relative to progesterone. Not good, because as you guys know, estrogen dominance causes all kinds of problems. Also, low melatonin, 14.4, even though this person is in range, it's still in the lower end. We'd like to see that more close to like 20, 23 or so. So this person may have problems sleeping and or reducing inflammation during nighttime while they're sleeping, and it could be waking them up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom or tossing and turning. You should not wake up at all in the middle of the night. You should have a restful 7 to 8 hours of sleep. And then testosterone, 22.2, wholly low range. This poor female is on the 22. We'd like to see with female, somewhere more like a 50 or so. So she's about half the range. So no wonder why she had no sex drive or energy or couldn't build muscle. Do I have hormone issues? How to properly test your thyroid. So this is another one. Doctors are not trained on properly. They do it in reverse, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. Hypothyroidism. This is the most common issue with thyroid, which means that your body senses it's not making enough thyroid hormones. It'll make more. Typically, this is an issue rooted in the liver, because the liver converts all of your T4, well, about 70 to 80% of your T4 to T3. T3 is the active thyroid hormone. There are thyroid hormone receptor sites in every cell of your body. T4 is not a usable hormone. It has to be converted to T3. So if you're on Synthroid, or if you've been prescribed T4 only medications or primarily T4 medications, you probably have a liver issue, not a thyroid issue. Your body is not able to convert T4 to T3 because your liver is toxic. All of us Americans are, because we have so many toxins, right? So definitely why I like things like Armour, Nature-Throid, more natural forms of thyroid medication. Of course, I can't prescribe, but I do like to see clients and patients I work with on more natural versions of these things that are already like pre-converted or ready for conversion, more readily available thyroid hormones. So hypothyroidism is an issue that's now plaguing about 1 in 5 women, and half of women will not know for a very long time that they even have thyroid issues, because they're not tested properly. These are the symptoms that come with hypothyroidism: intolerance to cold, receding hairline, hair loss, slow speech, anorexia, brittle hair and nails, menstrual issues, hair loss, I already said that, apathy, which is just kind of like, I don't even really have an opinion on that, lethargy, dry skin, muscle aches and weaknesses, and yet we're taking a prescription or an over-the-counter for each one of these things, right? Constipation, we're taking stuff to poop better. Muscle aches and weaknesses, we're taking like Advil and Tylenol and things so that we don't feel so much pain, especially around our period. Dry skin, we're using expensive lotions and getting all kinds of treatments done. Hair loss, I mean, gosh, women alone, if you're not listening to your body and you just have some of these other health issues like the symptoms on the right, most women are not really motivated until they start losing their hair. They're like, God, fix this. They're not like going, oh, I'm really cold, I need to fix this. They're going, my hair is falling out, I need to fix this now. So these are not issues that you're stuck with. These are just issues that you need to understand the root of. So it's really important to explore what's going on with your thyroid too, one of your other endocrine centers that makes hormones. And the purpose of the thyroid, thyroid hormones, lots and lots of purposes. So your thyroid regulates your mood. Your thyroid it gives you metabolism. Your thyroid gives you energy. So we'll talk a little bit about that in a little bit on the different things that the thyroid hormones and other hormones are used for. This is another one. Your thyroid tests are normal. They just look at TSH, T4, T3, and that's it. They don't look at your antibodies, which are, according to the work of my friend Dr. Isabella Wentz, 95% plus of women's TSH is out of range because of TPO, and which is this thyroid peroxidase antibodies. That is the reason why they're out of range. But doctors don't look at TPO first. They'll look at the other three instead. So we're like, well, then why don't they look at TPO if it's the reason why TSH is out of range? Because they're taught to look for TSH and then give you Synthroid. It's the way they make a lot of money on that drug. So yeah, there you go. There's the answer to that. But a lot of women don't feel well, but their thyroid tests are normal. So if you're undiagnosed or you're a thyroid patient taking the hormone replacement medications, it does not mean that your treatment's optimized. So what levels are actually considered optimal by many integrative physicians? The ones that you see on this page. TSH typically less than 2. I like to see between 1 and 2, although you'll notice on your lab tests if you look at them that you're going to see between 0.5 and 5. And if your doctor sees that those are in range, they won't really say much. They may say something if it's kind of on the lower end of the range or the higher end of the range, but for the most part, if they're in range, you're fine, right? And then you're like, but I don't feel fine, and you leave, and you're wondering how to fix yourself, but you're super tired, and you get more coffee, and you keep Starbucks in business. Not fun. You're spending like $150 a month on coffee or more, which destroys your hormones even more. So just so you guys can see this here, it's very important to look for vitamin D levels as well as ferritin. Ferritin is the iron storage hormone, so it's important for oxygen, energy levels, etc. Many, many reasons for iron. A lot of people come up iron deficient or their iron is in range, but if their ferritin's not looked at, then you've got a big issue. Ferritin also, I see low ferritin issues with a lot of women causing hair loss on their head and then hair growth on their body. And they're like, damn it, why can't this hair grow on my head instead of on my body, right? All right, so this is just another test I wanted to show you guys, kind of testing that we do to explore the issues that women are having with thyroid. This woman here, it's kind of hard to see this, but this one was way out of range with her TSH, but she had never been explored. No one looked at her TPOs. No one looked at her antibodies. And look, very obvious she has antibodies to her thyroid, which I can never diagnose, but it's very obvious that she's got Hashimoto's trending. A doctor would look at this and say, oh, you got Hashimoto's because you've got antibodies that are way outside of the reference range. So what we did, I worked with this patient, got these antibodies down to almost 0, got her TSH within range 1 to 2, reversed her autoimmune disease, and she was a happy camper because she felt amazing. Let's talk about some testing to explore root causes of hormonal imbalances. So you guys have seen me talk about, and if you haven't yet and you're watching this video for the first time, I've never been part of my challenges, really important to understand the causes. This is not actually a hormone test, but it is a key contributor to hormone imbalances. And we can see on, this is a hair tissue mineral analysis, where some mineral imbalances can actually show us that you have a thyroid disease trend happening. And we could actually work on supporting the thyroid by looking at some of these minerals and contributing to your health that way. So you can see this is my test that I took in 2013. I'm going to bring up my trusty seed pen here. Okay, so you can see, I was copper toxic. And I had just had my IUD removed. Yay, I had a copper IUD. That's the 10-year IUD. Dang. And high copper, low zinc. So you can see my low zinc here. Zinc is very important for, making testosterone. So I didn't have a sex drive at this time. I didn't have much energy at this time. I actually felt a little bit crazy and bipolar. And I had low energy, but a lot of energy to when I needed to be irritable. So this trend here, high copper, low zinc, is actually what they see on HTMAs. We say would be someone who's classically characterized as bipolar. Yikes. And this is something that they don't look at before they give you medications for that sort of thing. We can never say, of course, again, we can't say that you have this disease or whatever. These are just trends that we look at on these reports. And I had super high levels of calcium and magnesium, not inside the body, but I was excreting. So there's a lot of mineral wasting leaving the body. You guys may have seen from the Love My Hormones shake, the magnesium is really important for 300 plus enzymatic reactions in the body, especially stress. So when I see high levels of magnesium leaving the body, I know this woman is under a high level of stress and you need magnesium to poop. So if you're not pooping well, you need some more magnesium in your life, right? Among other things, probably. And then, of course, I had really high levels of metals, lead, aluminum. Mercury should never be anything other than 0, but I had a 0.11, so that was pretty bad. But anyway, We could look at this and also look to see what your metabolism looks like and what kind of macronutrients are good for you. Someone who has a slow metabolism like this does better on a higher carb. And what I mean by that is, really good high quality carbs like starchy tubers and roots and fiber from fruits and vegetables, etc. It also helps to flush estrogen. Now, copper toxicity, and this is so common in women, so that's why I put this slide up. Comes from these are the sources: birth control pills, copper IUDs, soybeans, tofu. That's why I'm not a big fan of soy, tofu, etc., and all these other things. Now the effects: this is how it feels to the body. You might get acne, adrenal insufficiency, allergies. So you're wondering, oh, why do I have all these allergies? And you take a Zyrtec or something. It's coming from metal levels from your body, and also your gut. Your good gut bacteria helps with your allergies. And all these other lovely things, PMS, urinary tract infections, yeast infections, multiple sclerosis, kidney disorders, libido decreased, migraines, mood swings, high blood pressure, high cholesterol, estrogen dominance. We're pretty much describing the average female today, right? So this is another test I like to run to see what I can do to help you with your metal toxicity needs as well as your mineral balances and get you stabilized. So what does hormone imbalance look like? Symptoms of high cortisol, that's our stress hormone, looks like this. You're wired or fatigued. I like to call it wired and tired. Like you're mentally wired, but your body is physically tired. High blood pressure, hyperglycemia, worsening memory, concentration, difficulty sleeping, insomnia, decreased sex drive. This is not women, but erectile dysfunction for men. Weight gain, obesity, weakened immune system. That's all high cholesterol. Now look at low cholesterol, adrenal fatigue. It looks sort of similar, fatigue. Worsening memory and concentration, difficulty sleeping, sugar and salt cravings. This is what I see mostly on this right side. Most people have low cortisol levels, not high ones. Decreased sex drive, food cravings you just can't get a handle on, depressed mood, weight gain, bone and muscle loss, anxiety, and irritability. They look sort of similar. So how do we know? Do you have high levels or low levels? That's why I like to do salivary testing to see which one you are and then work with you there. So progesterone. What is the role of progesterone in the body? Let's talk a little bit about that because progesterone is one of those important hormones. Like I said earlier, it opposes estrogen. So typically the root of estrogen dominance starts from not enough progesterone. Progesterone is often called the feel-good hormone because of its role in mood enhancement and antidepressant activity. So progesterone, like I said, is best known for keeping estrogen in check. Progesterone is also known as kind of like the anti-aging hormone, but a lot of people get prescribed progesterone. That's not the solution either. We want your body to making its own levels of progesterone through diet and exercise, lifestyle modifications, a good mood, a good love life, etc. So if you have not enough progesterone, what it can look like is hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, foggy thinking, memory lapses, bone loss, incontinence, tearful, depressed, sleep disturbances, and heart palpitations. I see so many women today like checking themselves in the ER because they're like, I have heart palpitations. A lot of that comes from, birth control pill, estrogen dominance, and then not enough progesterone. Of course, if you're not on, birth control pills, there's of course so many other reasons too, but progesterone helps to maintain your central nervous system and your sense of touch and your motor function and your bone strength. So optimal levels of progesterone lead to feelings of calm, while low levels can result in feelings of irritability and even anger. So again, here we go. Excess progesterone, sleepiness, breast swelling, tenderness, decreased libido, mild depression, and candida infections. Sounds like the average female again. No, just say it's not so. I will say what is so is definitely making these changes so you can feel a lot better. Estrogen. Now, what is the purpose of estrogen? It's a group of 3 hormones called estradiol, estriol, and estrone. So of all of those, estradiol is the most powerful one. And we test this on salivary tests as well. This family of estrogens works in concert with progesterone to nourish and to support the growth and regeneration of the female reproductive tissues, i.e. your ovaries. But its role is not limited to women. Elevated estrogen in men lowers testosterone and contributes to long-term health risks for conditions such as diabetes and heart disease and some cancers. So you might see men with man boobs or obesity. The more fat we carry in our body, the more estrogen our body makes. So we're kind of getting hit at all angles. Xenoestrogens, then we have more weight and our body makes more estrogens. And then of course, birth control pills and hormone replacement therapy, etc. Signs of insufficient estrogen include all the things that you see on this slide here. So insufficient is deficiency. You've got hot flashes, night sweats, vaginal dryness, foggy thinking. This is what the average female looks like. Where a lot of crying, a lot of, night sweats. This is what you'll see in menopause. But even women who are younger, they feel like they're premenopausal. It's like, really? This is happening? See, I see women who are premenopausal in their 20s. Why is this happening? Because we have typically adrenal exhaustion. We're not making enough of our own estrogen, but then yet we have estrogen dominance from, like I said, xenoestrogens. This is the key to understand here, ladies, that if your body's not making enough estrogen, but yet your body's responding like you have a lot of estrogen, it's because it's coming from the outside. And this is what's contributing to cancer. And cancer is such on the rise because cancer grows things, right? So that's the point of estrogen. It's to grow things. It's to keep our babies strong when we have a baby. It's to grow your breasts. So let's look at what excess looks like. Mood swings, tender breasts, water retention, nervousness, irritability, anxiousness, fibrocystic breasts, uterine fibroids, weight gain in the hips, and bleeding changes like PMS. So if you guys are seeing that you're bleeding all over the place, you can't control it, and the doctor's like, oh, we're going to give you total ablation so you don't have to bleed anymore. And you think, oh, that sounds convenient. No, absolutely not. No, we're not cutting parts out anymore, ladies. You guys have way more control over your body than that. And so we just need to balance your hormones and get these, estrogens out, get your liver functioning properly, get your adrenals happy, remove stressors in your life. And that's why I work with women one-on-one over a period of like 6 months to really remodel their life. So what a lot of women are seeing now is 14-day cycles or 2 cycles a month. And they're literally feel like they're hemorrhaging. And the reason why is estrogen excess. And it, like I said, it could be caused from a number of different things. And then fibrocystic breasts, uterine fibroids, and you're seeing PCOS, you're seeing estrogen dominance, you're seeing cancer, you're seeing breast cancer, you're seeing uterine cancer. This is why. So we want it to be just right, like I said, like Goldilocks. Now, testosterone. What is the purpose of testosterone in the body? Now, you've got a lot of reasons for testosterone. So testosterone is something that is what builds your muscles. It gives you your sex drive. It gives you motivation, lots of things. And if we have a deficiency of it, it looks like low libido, vaginal dryness, foggy thinking, fatigue, aches and pains, memory lapses, incontinence, depression, sleep problems, and addiction to shopping. Uh-oh, that used to be me. That test I showed you guys earlier, the estrogen dominance one, that I had high estrogen, I had low-ish levels of testosterone, but mainly higher levels of estrogen. Excess testosterone looks like excessive facial and body hair, those lovely ones on your chin and your neck and your face. Those are hot. And your sides of your cheeks. Loss of scalp hair, increased acne, voice change, oily skin, irritability. So you can see if we pull these things into balance, you can get rid of all these issues. Now, this is what a healthy progesterone and thyroid dominance looks like versus an unhealthy one, which is progesterone or estrogen dominance. Healthy progesterone and thyroid levels look like this. And they are as a result of healthy liver, strong detoxification system, which is why I invented the Warrior Cleanse. A low polyunsaturated fat diet, like vegetable oils. Things are obviously, vegetable oils are things like soybean oil, the ones that you find that most people are using in the restaurants. That's why I always say ask for coconut oil or olive oil or, high quality butter, which most restaurants when you're eating out do not have. They use, low PUFA diet. They use a lot of PUFAs in their cooking, which is the vegetable oils. That's bad stuff. Strong digestion, and you eat digestible foods like, the high fibers, vegetables, etc. Make sure you're getting your enzymes, apple cider vinegar drinks, and you're getting enough calories and nutrients in your diet. You're eating enough animal proteins, super important. You'll see this in a second. And you get a lot of easily digested carbohydrates, so things that are not too hard for the body to digest, and vitamin A sufficiency. So it's very important to have the proper vitamins in your diet. What that looks like is increased resistance to disease, good health, and strong metabolism. Unhealthy looks like this: estrogen dominance. So this is a result of malnourished liver, poor detoxification. Secondly, a low protein diet, which, your liver needs high quality animal proteins to detoxify estrogens. So important. I'll read this again. Your liver needs high quality animal proteins to detoxify estrogen. So sorry vegans and sorry vegetarians, but this, if it's an ethical decision, then hey, I can't get around that with you guys. It's your body, right? It's your life. But your liver is dependent on these animal proteins to detoxify estrogen. If you're not doing that and you are a vegan or a vegetarian, I hope that you're consuming a lot of DIM in your diet, which is like the dinyl methanes, the indole carbonyl groups, the brassica family, like cabbage and Brussels sprouts and broccoli, etc. Without adequate protein, estrogen cannot be detoxified, and it builds up in the body, which creates estrogen dominance and estrogen dominance related diseases and symptoms like cancer and like PMS and hormonal issues. Also, estrogen dominance is a result of PUFA heavy diet. We already talked about that. Dieting, like I just talked about right there too. Low carbohydrates, low calorie diets, calorie deficient. So stop this. Exercise more, eat less stuff. It is not doing you any favors. You just want to eat a balanced macronutrient diet. Also, a result of low thyroid. Your thyroid is best friends with the adrenals. If you don't have a good relationship with the thyroid and the adrenals together, you're going to have one that's going to be dominating the other or having an issue. If you have been told that you have hypothyroidism and you have thyroid issues, and you're not addressing the adrenals and giving your adrenals love and adaptogens and addressing the reason why you have issues to begin with, which is a toxic liver, then that medication is doing you more harm. And that doctor is irresponsibly prescribing you something without addressing the other issues that go along with a low thyroid. So critical to understand this, ladies. So critical. That's why I call it the Tao of hormone balance. TAO. They all function together. You can't address one without addressing the other ones. Poor digestion, eating indigestible foods. That's why in the Warrior Cleanse in week 1, we're doing a lot of foods that are already pre-digested and addressing adaptogens. Like I said, addressing the adrenals and the thyroid with that in the diet. Sluggish bowels. Most women are pooping every other day, or every third day instead of every day. So we got to make sure you're getting the waste out. Also, vitamin A deficiency and fat-soluble vitamin deficiency. Estrogen-containing hormone therapy is a big issue today, which is plaguing teenagers like crazy. This is why I'm trying to speak very loudly about how to how to understand your own birth control, what that looks like, what healthy birth control is, diaphragms, tracking your cycle, knowing when you're fertile, etc. And that's all the stuff we talk about in the hormone code. Now, what this looks like, estrogen dominance, is poor digestion, weight gain, PMS, infertility, edema, which just basically means swelling, varicose veins, and increased cancer risk. You know how many people I have, they're spending tons of money on removing varicose veins, and I'm like, it's just because you have estrogen dominance. It could actually go away if you get that stuff out of your body and balance your hormones. And who wants cancer? That's about $10,000 to $15,000 a month. So, you spend a couple $100 here and there, do the Warrior Cleanse, do the hormone code, and you're starting to truly understand your body to prevent having to spend tens of thousands of dollars, if not lose your life, because of these simple things that people are not talking about in mainstream medicine today. Now, the last thing I want to show you guys is this is my own test. And you hear people saying, I got the BRCA gene, cut my boobs off. This is the more important to understand here, that you actually have control over your genetics. As long as you understand these things. This is my test. So what is optimal? Let me get my little pen out here again. Optimal is this. This is the optimal balance of estrogen metabolites, which is estrogen waste, basically the metabolism of estrogen, getting it out of the body. So these green ones are considered protective, whereas the red are the ones that are associated with increased risk of autoimmune disease, which is the one that I reversed, Hashimoto's. I had it, I reversed it. My genes did say that I had an increased risk of these things, but it was because of these high levels of estrogens I had, these dangerous estrogen metabolites. Look at this. What is healthy is this. This was me, half. What is healthy is healthy-ish is to have like 25%. I had like 50% of unhealthy estrogen metabolites, which increased my odds of breast or I don't have prostates, but breast or other types of cancers. So look at me, I was in the red. That's awful. Higher risk of breast cancer. I have breast cancer on both sides of my family. I am going to definitely do my best to try to take care of preventing that from happening with myself and all of you guys too, and your family and your loved ones and your daughters. So the goal was to be right here. I was right here. So I had to definitely get these estrogen, these harmful estrogen metabolites out of the body by way of the things I teach you in the hormone code and in the warrior cleanse. And by working with me individually, you can start to see your odds of these things. So we can prevent your odds as much as possible, keep you as far away from disease, cancer, and the symptoms of all of these hormone imbalances as possible. So these tests are out there, ladies. You just have to know that there are people like me that run them to help you understand what it looks like under the hood. So important to understand what's going on under the hood and not just a blood test. That's it. How does it feel to know that you are in control? And now you're empowered with how to fix it, which is doing the hormone code or doing the warrior cleanse, trying that out for size. And then if you are not getting relief from that, and or if you want to do both at the same time, you work with me one-on-one. If you're working with me one-on-one, you get these challenges included for free. And you get amazing community support from all the warriors that I've trained, that have done these tests, that have done these challenges with me, and have completely transformed their life and the lives of their family, because the moment you make a shift, your entire family will tend to go, whoa, you look amazing. Your energy levels are higher. You want sex from me. That's what a man would say, right, to you if you're a woman. What's going on? I want to do this stuff too. I want to feel better. I want to look better. So they're naturally going to want to do what you're doing, and which becomes amazing because you become your own best doctor, and then you teach other people how to be their own best doctors too. So I really appreciate you guys for watching. I appreciate you appreciating yourself for watching. If you guys have any questions or to book a free consultation with me, you could do so in the link below. We could talk about type of testing that might be good for you, helping you understand what's under your hood so we can help you balance your hormones, detoxify the crap in your life from your physical body, and detoxify the thoughts that are also creating stress and turmoil. I really, truly want you to transform. I want you to feel the best you ever have in your entire life because I want you to have hormonal freedom. I also want you to attain the body of your dreams because you deserve it. You absolutely deserve it. It is time to stop putting yourself last. It is time to start putting yourself first, because if your kids see that you put yourself last and your health is last, you're going to pass it down to the next generation. They're going to put themselves last. Their health is going to suffer. Then maybe they can't even have kids and your surname ends at that. And we definitely want to prevent that. So in order to truly change the course of your future and the future of our generations, it is the best thing to do to take control over your health and your hormones and your entire body, because you have much more control than you even realize. It is time. I love you, Unicorn Warrior. I am so impressed that you've made it to the end here. Now it's time to take some serious, massive action, and I am here for you. So Diane Kazer of DianeKazer.com here. I appreciate you, and I really, truly want you to feel your best because it totally is possible. And now I know that you know this. Namaste.